Well, g'day everybody. I thought I had this nailed, and I've been sitting here quite frustrated with what's going on here. And if I were lucky, I hit that. Now, another little problem here. I'm not sure if you're actually seeing this, and I'm here by myself, totally frustrated. So I'm going to put my phone on. No one knows I was going to put this up because I just stumbled across something. So I have to just call my OGR update here. Search for OGR. I should have done this, but I thought the screen was settled. So I'll just go for this. Hopefully I can come on. No, it's not bloody going now. Hang on. Ocean. Sorry about this, but I just got to get a tracker update up because there is so much going on. So here it comes. If the internet's good, and hopefully it'll be up in a minute. Hey, come on. The internet is so slow here. I hope this works. Anyway, I'm only on Facebook. There's not a YouTube one. It says that I'm going, but I've got, I'm reading comments. Hey, someone's there. I just want to know, that's Eon. Can you just give me a message to just confirm that you're seeing the tracker on the screen at the moment and you're hearing me? I don't know whether anyone is, but I can't actually now get it on my phone. I had the screen all set, and before I go into this, I want to make sure it's happening. No one's confirming anything yet, so maybe it's not. Although there's a live, I just want to know what's on the screen. Maybe you're not hearing me. Solo on. I'm not sure. Oh, good. Oh, jeepers. Okay, Rob's there. I thought you were on the plane. Okay, so you can see the screen. That's all I need to know. Okay, so I'm going to go for it. Now, I won't bore you with the details of what's been going on, other than the fact I want to get in this track. And at the end of this, if you're interested, I'll try and give you a bit of an explanation on a whole pile of things. This is the big deal. We had a stuff up with the tracker on Friday, and I was explaining the whole connection between making it to Cape Town and making some predictions on probably what may happen. And it's exactly what's happening, and everything's up for grabs now. You might think it's strange, but if I told you that Translated could get line honours on this, you'd think I was crazy, but I'm not kidding. And Spirit of Helsinki is probably going to go straight past Penduic. And so, yeah, a lot going on. But before we get there, seeing we've got a tracker update happening, we'll start at the back, and I'll make this a normal one. As I said, we haven't got it on YouTube, but we have got it on Facebook. So that's one good part. So Godspeed's tracking across. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. 6 knots, pretty respectable. Long way to go. Falling a little bit behind on a lot of stuff. So who knows what date they'll arrive in Cape Town and what the stopover is going to look like. But we'll have to just wait and see on that. And then Outlaw 6.5 knots, looking pretty good. Wind's not too strong, and strangely making a very good direct south route on this actually breeze coming through here. So that's pretty impressive. And Evrika even is actually pulling around, but again, interesting to see where she'll end up at the end of the day and whether the whole thing was worthwhile. I think it might be looking okay for Evrika, but she was alongside White Shadow and all these other boats at the time. She made the decision to go to the east, so time will tell. For now, 5.4 knots, 125 in the last day, but I think she's done more than that. But she's getting close to this rum line, so the stats are reasonable. And then we've got Sterner at the back here, 4.9 knots. You can see there's a bit of a band of no wind here, so that's why she's slowing up. Explorer back here, 5.9, still moving. Haven't had any news on the issue of sailing as dark ship. I'm not sure. We've got a bit of an impression on what might have happened there, but we still have no idea. And I'm associated, so I can't exactly ring them up and say, hey, what's going on? I just got to wait until they decide to tell OGR what's happening with their situation and what the prospect is. I don't think it's slowing up the sailboat side, but they're certainly running without a lot of equipment that could make life a little bit easier. And just looking at the distances to go, I'll be very surprised, just to give you a set scene, I'd be very surprised if Explorer can make it into Cape Town before restart day on the 5th of November, but I think it'll go very close. I'm just going to have a peek back here because when I'm doing this, I can't see the comments. Has Godspeed crossed the equator? Okay, I'm just checking the comments because if there's comments there, it means that you're still seeing me or still seeing the tracker and hearing me. So that's good. Okay, the equator is this line right here. Okay, so there's the equator. Yes, she's over the equator. She's in the southern hemisphere now. So and heading down towards 10 degrees south, and then so on. So not looking too bad. Okay, so we're now talking into white shadow, 2.5 knots, absolutely in a hole here. There's a bit of a ridge, and it's a trough, rather. Here, you've got a high pressure system starting up on the side, and you've got the remnants of another one here. It's compressed up against this new one forming, which is going to cause some very interesting weather situations, but they're all pretty much stuck in the middle of it. Neptune 3.3 knots, not going anywhere. Triana 6.1 knots, actually passed Neptune, which is crazy. They're just driving, and I saw on their video clip again the fact that they've got the boat stacked up. Every bit of weight is in the middle of the boat. They're stacking sails on deck. There's a couple of really hard performance sailors there. That's why they're doing that. Galliana with Secure, 7.2 knots, a very respectable speed considering what's going on there, with not a lot of wind around them, but they're still moving. So they're just on the cusp of this pressure gradient here and a northwesterly breeze. So they've got everything up again. Sea state to be down. So they're all looking pretty cool. The Spirit Equipped, 7.4 knots. That's pretty good, but she's lost some ground against the others behind her. Excuse me for a second. And anyway, it's all part of the course up there. They're making steady but sure progress towards Cape Town. And what I'm going to do now, we can pretty much get everyone in this weather situation. So I'm going to push the weather forward a day and just see what it's looking like. That no wind band starts to disappear. It gets a little bit heavier up here for Avrika and Outlaw, and Godspeed still doing the same. Not much change there at all. This is very much trade winds, so you just expect the strength to go up and down. Next day, this is on the 17th, it's getting lighter. Now, this light patch here will play into the hands of Outlaw and Avrika really well. And in fact, I was looking at it, if we push it forward, it gets lighter and lighter. Now, if you want to go dead straight, this is exactly what they want. Normally, the breeze here can be really heavy. So when you're coming down the middle, light headwinds is fine. As long as there's enough to keep sailing at 5 or 6 knots, you can hold up high, the sea state drops down, you can really make ground towards the destination. So that's a good thing for them. They won't be complaining about that. And you can see here again, okay, Avrika's coming down, might start to run out of beast. Perfect for Outlaw. She can just come over here on port tack and just keep rolling down. So Outlaw will be back in the game. You've got to remember she's got 32 hours credit coming, I think. So that'll help them a bit. So it's not looking like a disaster for those guys. And you can see there, it's still pretty reasonable, not strong winds. Yeah, so I was concentrating then on Avrika and Outlaw, so I'm just going to push it back a bit now and look at this middle fleet overall. We went through one day, there's 16th, so they get breeze and everything's pretty much the same sort of thing. Interestingly, for Triana there, for a minute, they were on the wrong side of this change in the high pressure system here, but now very quickly it comes back to the fore and they're heading down again. And I'll just remind you, we're starting to interplay here. This is Cape Town. Now, this is what I've been talking about for a long time, and this is going to cost some sailors dearly, right? Everyone tells you, every guidebook, everything about sailing to Cape Town says you never approach from the west. You never do that, right? At some point, you've got to get down here to about 40 degrees south. Okay, and then you sail along until you're about southwest of Cape Town and you go across here. Okay, and now I'm getting into what I was talking about on Friday when we lost all the vision. I was explaining the importance of that. No matter what the weather is doing, you need to follow the game plan, because that's what the square riggers used to do, and it usually works out the best particular tactic. And what you saw here, I was unable to get a tracker update. But what you saw very clearly, there was pressure on Penjuic, They had breeze there. There was, all looking pretty good. The high pressure center seemed a bit far away. And there was a lot of pressure and temptation not to go too far south, because if you go south at the wrong time and then go to the east, it's like as if you're sailing away from the course and you feel as if it's going slow. So it's so tempting to go to Cape Town. Now, when they were going to the east, there's this huge hollow of no wind along here. And I could just see, blind Freddie could see that they're never going to get through it, because that's a squashed center of the high going around here, and it doesn't just disappear for no particular reason. Anyway, when they were doing it, I was saying to some others here, saying, oh, this is risky, because what's going to happen is that Helsinki, they were running along the ridge as Penjuic was running out. And I thought, sheepers, if Helsinki keep going south, they're just going to sail straight around Penjuic, okay? And not only that, then there's two very hot, I'm not saying that Helsinki doesn't have hot sailors on board, but I know there's two very hot sailors on board Translated 9, and Vittorio, the skipper, and Simon Kerwin from GGR fame. And they both get it. They know what it's about. And a day ago, I was looking at it and think, jeepers, Translated could nail this and get line on as NIRC, depending on what happens to the weather. This was 24 hours ago. And as it stands now, you can see exactly what's happened. You've got Penjuic run out of breeze, and they've all of a sudden realised, we're in trouble here. We've got to sail away from the centre now. So they're diving south as quick as they can go, and they're only doing 3.4 knots. Now, Helsinki, a day ago, was looking really good, but she was coming down here, and if she had kept doing that and came down here like this to get to 40, then run along 40 and come up there at 45 degrees, she would absolutely have nailed it and completely passed Penjuic. Okay, but instead, you see what happened here? I should build this up. She started to get tempted as well. Maybe she was talking to to Penjuic and said, they've turned. Because if one turns and actually gets through, then if you go south, you feel as if you're wasting your time. But you've got to hold to the game plan. And very quickly it went light, so now Helsinki is coming down as well. And if you're not getting weather reports here, and you don't know exactly where the centre of the high is, and I have heard about what reports they're getting and all that sort of stuff, then you cannot lose by coming down at 45 degrees here and getting to 40 degrees south, like sailing down here, and following your barograph and barometer and so on, just following those contours of the high. You can do pretty well. And for a while there, Translated looked as if she was being independent and coming down that way, and she still sort of is, right, without wasting it. So what's going to happen here is, in my opinion, there's no question that Spirit of Helsinki is going to pass Penjuic. And I'll show you why. This is like hindsight. I can say all these things because I know exactly what's going on with the weather and projections and so on. But the poor sailors on board the boats, they're doing a lot of guesswork with the weather. So it's just interesting to watch what's going on. I'm not criticising anyone. I'm just saying this is fascinating. And that's what forced me to try and get this system going again. And after about an hour of playing around and talking with Jane in China and all that sort of stuff, we finally pulled up at least one, which is the Facebook for OGR. So okay, if we step this forward, and you can see what happens here with this high center of the high pressure, which is like a trough here, which is a blocking trough. You cannot sail through it, right? They're now coming down, and they'll get breeze. So in a few hours, okay, in the next 12 hours, Penjuic's going to get a little bit more breeze. But look at Spirit of Helsinki. And here's the quick. If I was them, especially if I saw this weather map, I would probably still keep coming down. It's pretty obvious. This is where the weather is, okay? And there's no point dipping across yet. But even if you're running blind, if I had no weather at all and looking at where I am, there's one thing you know for sure. 80% of the time, you've got a southeasterly here coming around the corner, and it just comes down to how strong it is, right? So you just say, okay, if it's going to be blowing southeast there, I want to reach across. You do 45 degrees here, so it's keeping it on the beam. You want to get to a position somewhere around about here and then start heading to Cape Town from the southwest. And if you imagine now, if you're doing that plan without having any weather information, as you go along a bit further, it's still holding true, okay? It's holding true. And you get a nice ride now because there's a low pressure forming underneath, but they could easily ride this down, get down to 40 and carry on, okay? And this is a few hours out, but someone may be tempted to follow this breeze here. So this is sometime tomorrow. And if Penjuic gets this, it'll be very interesting to see what they do. Now, if she turns, or he, the boat turns, or she, the skipper turns, okay, and heads this way, it might not be a very good idea. But let's wait and see. If Spirit of Helsinki keeps cruising down this way to get down to 40 before turning, or somewhere here to bounce up at Thingo, you'll see what might happen with boat speed, because we go across here. This is a couple of days ahead, and already the one that's got further south, you've now got the southeasterly extending all the way across here. So you've got whoever's the highest is actually not in the best position to pay off. So if you had been down here on that one, you'd be better off because you can go for boat speed and so on. Anyway, that's the 17th. Then we go the 18th. You see the southeasterlies coming around a little bit closer, so you'd be harder on the wind. Here it's right on the nose. So the boat that's up high is going to have to start tacking. The boat that's down low can start heading up a bit. So again, being further south down on the 40s is better. Now look at what happens here. So if you started a turn here, you're going to have like 35 knots on the nose, with 4 meter seas and everything, which is going to slow you down. A boat coming up from the bottom here is going to come roaring through, and that's going to hold. If I run this through, there's the 20th. It's still really strong, and that's about when they should be arriving. Okay, so anything you can do to get down here is going to be a plus. So it's something to watch very closely. I'll come back to today's weather. We'll just pick it up and get it a bit bigger so you can see the ramifications here. Now, Maiden is doing really well, in my opinion, because she's heading south. Whether she's got forecast or not, they're probably just reading all the guidebooks saying get down here and then approach Cape Town from the southwest. Got nothing to lose. She's the one that's holding true to the traditional route to get into Cape Town. And it may give them an advantage as well, depending on what happens to Translated. But I would have assumed that they'll keep heading down. And so I'm going to just one more time just push this through. You can see there, if Maiden carries down, there's a good, that's 30, 35 knot tailwinds. They can afford to roll across here a bit, and it'll be very interesting to see who keeps going down south. If we look at the positions, even now, Penjuic's still on line honours, first on line honours, third on IRC. Spirit of Helsinki is second on IRC, second in line honours. Translated is running first and first again. Maiden is fourth and fourth. So this pack here, trying to break through the South Atlantic high, is what it's all about, and it's quite fascinating to watch. In terms of the big picture for the weather, it's a mess, but you've got the makings of another big high coming up here. This will all get squeezed off and rush down in this direction for sure. And we can see that. I'm going to push it through every hour so you can see the big high forming in the southwest over there, starting to join with the other one. This one here, the center's disappearing, but it's pretty strong. This one's overriding it. And then as it's happening, this mid-fleet might get caught on the wrong side of the high, which could delay them, because it's all starting to mold together there. And they're on the top of it now. So there's your transition time there. Oh, it's very messy because there's a low forming just here. That may help them, but it's just a complete mishmash. And this low pressure here is going to push this one out of the way as well. So it's very untraditional. As much as I'm telling you that the boats need to get down to the 40 degrees south latitude here and then head up from the southwest, there is a lot of messy weather. It's not really clear. You say, where's the South Atlantic high? But it's fascinating to watch. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. So first boat in, still not going to be here until Friday at the earliest, I don't think. Maybe Saturday. And this heavy wind here, this breeze here is really going to put anyone that's coming up from the south in a nice position. And the others, there's 5 meter seas there, and it's going to be quite pushy. And then as they close Cape Town, it's all going to go off to a dead calm probably. It's apparently going to be 37 degrees or something this week. So currents, we'll just have a look while we're here. A few currents here, bits and pieces, a bit messy. Penjuic is in one right now, helping them go south. You can see that there. Helsinki got pushed up a little bit maybe in that current. The others are just carrying on through. So anyway, I hope I've just helped you set the scene a bit, but there's some changes afoot. and I'd be, it's looking very likely that Spirit of Helsinki might jump through on this, and if she keeps going south, could actually pass Penjuik and maybe even take line on us. You never know. And translated, they're holding very well for IRC at the moment. So it's a bit of a quick, rough thing. I was mainly really fascinated with the whole story that's going on here and frustrated watching it yesterday. So I'll come back and see what comments we've got here at the moment, if we've got any. Hopefully it's still hearing me. Yes, it is. Okay, just before I go into this, someone who's not interested, they'll disappear. But what happened the other day on Friday when I was doing the image, I had some problems and I got into Jane in China, and unbeknown to, because I didn't tell her, I finally went online. And so she didn't know I was online when she was trying to modify it by remote, and that's what blocked out all the bits and pieces. And then I came down with horrible cold and all that sort of stuff, and so that mixed that up, and Lutz has been holding the fort for me, which is really cool. So that's happening, and team's pretty much here now. Ada's here. She's gone out to being a French person in Cape Town. If you follow the rugby, she's in demand. So her and Jeremy, GGR fame, skipper from GGR, who's a Cape Townian, South African, they've gone off to a big party, and they're going to all be having a hoo-ha for the rugby. And Ada's all dressed up in Cape Town colours. And I said, but you're French. Anyway, so she's gone there. And Jack, who's Irish, if you follow the rugby, number one, they're over in the other place watching rugby. And I'm here by myself doing bits. Jane's in China. Marco arrived today, and Rob's arriving tomorrow. And then we get the office set up and so on. So that's cool. Anyway, we'll be, and it's been all a bit confusing. We've had some comms issues to the boats, so that's why we didn't get the sound clouds up. But that's going to be sorted. We've got all new stuff happening and blah, blah, blah. So we should be back on track for Monday, which is tomorrow. Okay, I'll quickly look at the day on Rob. Yeah, safe travels, Rob. Don, I can see and hear. Fantastic. Senator Tracker, good evening. Evening. I'm not sure how we're going to get. Has Godspeed Costa Rica checking in from Waveland. Good evening, Matthew. He's a GGR entrant out sailing at the moment, getting some more miles up on his boat. Watching from Montana. From Quebec. Looked to me like Avrika's very odd course could work. Yep, that's not looking too bad. Evening. Fantastic to see you back. Tracker duty, Don. Hope all well. Thanks. Good work. Yep. Okay. Okay, John. So, yeah, I'm just about over this bloody thing. It wasn't COVID, but it pushes you around a bit. So that's all good. Anyway, sorry I didn't get up on YouTube. I'm not sure how we get this one to copy it, do it on YouTube. I was actually, when I stumbled across how to get the Facebook link up, I actually had I was trying for the YouTube because then we could share it. But anyway, okay, so I might come back again tomorrow just on Facebook, but Rob's here and he knows how to sort some of this stuff. So we'll see you then. Thanks for that. Have a good night. And don't forget the rugby, France versus South Africa. That's going to be very interesting. Yes. Okay. See ya.